That's fine. All
Okay.
right. Okay, well, I think we have enough of a group to get started here, and it is after 11, so let's do that. What I'd like to do to start is to invite you to come into your yogic seat in your chair. I'm going to sit right here in front of the screen a little closer to start. And I want to invite you to begin by bringing your hands, we're going to do a mantra together, and we're going to use that mantra with some mudras. So mantra is the yoga of sound and vibration, and mudra is the more subtle practice of working with hand positions. And it's like yoga for your hands. And the hand positions that we use, or these mudras, have a subtle energetic effect on our being. It's at a more subtle level than the big gross movements of the muscles and the joints. Because when we practice yoga, we're working on all the different levels of our being, the gross physical and the more subtle energetic. And we're also working at the level of mind and subtle vibrations. So when we practice asana and include mantra and mudra, we're getting the whole gamut of the practice, of all the benefits. So I'd like to invite you to bring your hands together in prayer position in front of your heart. And the mantra or the Sanskrit phrase that we're going to use is Om Mani Padme Hum. And this is one of the most widely chanted mantras in the world. It's used a lot by the Tibetans. It's also a Buddhist mantra, Buddhist and yogic mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum. And what it means, essentially, I'm going to put you on mute here while we get this going. What it essentially means is, behold the jewel in the lotus. Om is the sound of the universal vibration. So that kind of sets the tone for the mantra and the power of the mantra. Om, the whole universe. Mani means jewel. Padme means, it refers to the lotus, or Padma means lotus, but in this grammatical use of it, we say Padme. Om Mani Padme is lotus. Hum is a sound that increases the energy of the mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum. So I'm going to invite you to say that with me. Om Mani Padme Hum. Try that again. I know you're on mute, but you can try it the best you can. Om Mani Padme Hum. One more time together. Om Mani Padme Hum. And it means, behold the jewel in the lotus. And the lotus symbolically is the spiritual heart. And in many different traditions, the lotus is used as a symbol of our own spiritual awakening, the awakening of the petals of the lotus. And the jewel that is spoken of here is the jewel of our own true nature. So when we practice, whatever that practice is, yoga, meditation, prayer, whatever it is, that is a practice of opening the petals of the lotus, and inside we see that essential, shining, radiant jewel that is our soul or true self. Om Mani Padme Hum. So behold the jewel in the lotus flower. So I'm going to invite you to take the prayer hands and create a little space between the palms of the hands. So you have all your fingers touching, and you have your thumbs touching here, and the heel of the hand touching. So everything's touching except to open the palms so that there's a little space in between. And if you bring that to the center of the chest, what we're doing is we're creating the mudra of the lotus bud. And that's a beautiful mudra for reflection at this time of year in spring, where everything is just sort of waiting to bust open. It's a time of possibility where Rumi has a beautiful poem where he says, everything is pregnant with a mystery. And so I invite you in this place of the lotus bud, of bringing your hands into that lotus mudra, to think about what possibility you want to open to in your life. What is perhaps gestating in you, or something that you want to bring into fruition at this time in your life. I think about that bud and that sense of possibility. Even if it's just the possibility of your own unfolding or awakening. And then bringing the 3 middle fingers to open, keeping the thumbs and the pinkies together. Let that mudra open into the full lotus flower. So your fingers are fanning open like a flower. And so you can imagine that you see that jewel inside the center of the lotus flower, which is reminding you of your own radiance. And then bringing the elbows together. You might feel like that's a little bit of a stretch in the upper back there. Bringing the elbows together so you make the stem of the lotus, and then letting that, the lotus is a flower that rises up out of the mud, out of the, up to the surface of the pond. So let it, and that muck or that mud is like our own unconsciousness or our own negative thoughts. And let it rise up, and then you can open the elbows so that the lotus mudra comes to the crown of the head. The crown of the head is also depicted as a 1,000-petaled lotus. 1,000-petal lotus symbolizing our own awakening, if that feels okay for your arms. And then opening wide. Let those 1,000 petals open in all directions. Let the palms turn up. And really, really exaggerate this movement so that you're reaching out to the ends of the universe with the fingertips. So you actually feel that blossoming open in the heart. Those 1,000 petals opening up wider and wider, a heart as wide as the world. And then let the hands come down, palms join again, and bring that lotus bud mudra back to the heart. And take a little bow, chin to chest, honoring that possibility of your own awakening as you return to the lotus bud. So I'm going to invite you to sync that up with a little singing of the mantra. I'm going to sing it, and if you'd like to join me, you can. We're all on mute, so no one else can hear you. But it's like this: bow to your lotus bud, that honoring that possibility in yourself of your own spiritual unfolding. Om Mani Padme Hum. Open the lotus mudra. Om Mani Padme Hum. See the jewel, and then let it rise up out of the muck of your own unconsciousness. Om Mani Padme Hum. And then blossoming open, a heart as wide as the world. Om Mani Padme Hum. Hands come back together and bow. Om Mani Padme Hum. Blossom open. Om Mani Padme Hum. Rise up. Om Mani Padme Hum. As wide as the world. Om Mani Padme Hum. And bow. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Rise up. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. One more time. Bowing to possibility, the lotus bud. Om Mani Padme Hum. Blossom open. Om Mani Padme Hum. Rise up. Om Mani Padme Hum. As wide as the world. Om Mani Padme Hum. And then bring the hands together once again in that lotus bud mudra. And in that place, in that bud, I invite you to place an intention. Something that you want to bring to fruition in your life. Something that you'd like to see blossom and open up. Bring that, visualize that, held right in the center of that bud as possibility. And then taking a deep breath in, let's seal that intention with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Om. And then once again, refreshing your posture, coming into sit bones at the front of your chair. I'm going to put myself in the spotlight here. Okay. Make sure everybody can see me. We'll take those 6 sacred movements of the spine. Your knees are in line with your hip pointers. Heart comes forward, shoulders draw back, spread the heart, squeeze the shoulder blades toward the center of the back. Feel the whole front body expanding and lighting up as you come forward on your sit bones. Exhale, roll to the back end of your sit bones and bring the shoulders forward. Collapse the chin to the chest and feel the spreading wide between the shoulder blades. Navel draws in and up. Inhale, come forward, spread the heart. Exhale, around the spine the other way. And just syncing up your breath and your movement here, explore your full range of motion with those 2 movements of the spine, flexion and extension, back bend and forward bend. Let the breath move the body. Bringing the movement and the awareness and the breath together into one flow. One more round. Remembering to let the breath be long and slow and deep. Come back to center. You want to have that ujjayi sound brushing the back of the throat, so that little contraction of the glottis, so that you slow down the breath and feel that whisper sound in the back of the throat. Let the arms reach and rise, reach through the right, reach through the left, and bring your right arm underneath your left into your eagle arm. So you're going to turn the inner elbows up and then bend the elbows, either bring the backs of the hands to one another, or if you can, wrap your wrists, having the right fingertips come to the inside of the left hand. If that doesn't work for you, it's fine to just have the backs of the hands to one another. Thumbs point toward you. Now lift. Lift fingers to the sky, lift elbows, come to the place where you feel the juiciness in this stretch. It's also fine just to give yourself a hug and walk your fingers toward one another along the back body. See if you can grab behind your shoulders if this full eagle expression isn't right for you. Big breath in, lift up, and then exhale, unfurl the arms and let the right arm rise. Let the left hand just gently hold the chair. Beside you, reach up, long spine, big breath in, exhale into a side bend. Reach long and away, and let the ribs find that smiling open. Inhale up to center, exhale, float the arms down, that upper arm down. Both arms reach and rise. And exhale, this time the left arm comes underneath in your eagle arms or with your giving yourself a hug. Thumbs point toward you if you're in your eagle arms, however you're doing that. And go for the juice here. So a little bit of lift of the elbows. Breathe into the place in the upper back or shoulders or upper arms where you're feeling strong sensation. Invite an opening there. Keep the muscles around the face and the eyes, the jaw soft, brow soft. Find some little micro movements to explore here. Lots of breath. Long, slow, and deep, in and out through the nose. And then unwinding the arms, slowly float the left arm up and anchor yourself with your right arm beside you on the bottom of the chair. Inhale, lift. Exhale, deepen into that side bend. Reach long and away. If you notice that upper arm coming down in front of your face, see if you can roll it open. See if you can lengthen without bending the elbow on that left side. Big breath in. And exhale, release. Take a moment to roll the shoulders, big circles one way. Circle the other way. Whatever it is you need to release that you've been carrying around on your shoulders, let it go. Feel free to make a little noise with an exhale here. And then we'll bring the hands back behind you, interlacing like so. Yoga mudra, use a strap if you need to. And let that heart blossom open, like that lotus. Shoulder blades draw toward the center. See if you can lift the hands. You might need to scooch a little more forward on your chair. And straighten the arms if you can. Lift the hands. If you want to fold forward, lifting your hands up, letting the head hang down. That's another option. When you're ready, you can release the hands, just coming into your forward fold here. Let the head be loose. And then bring the hands to the thighs and slowly roll up, back to center. Just take a moment to lift the crown of the head to the sky. Center the shoulders over the hips and root the tailbone down into the earth. We'll take some seated twists. Arms reach and rise. Exhale into your twist to your right, either right hand on the back of the chair or on the bottom of the chair behind you. Exhale into the twist. We're just going to flow side to side here. So inhale up to center. Exhale, twist to the other side. So you don't need to hold or come into your absolute deepest twist here. Just stay as long as your exhale. Inhale up to center, flowing with breath. Exhale, twist right. Inhale up to center. Exhale, twist left. Softening shoulders down away from the ears. So as you lengthen and slow down the breath, then you can slow down the movement. So let the movement and breath sync up. Keeping centered on your sit bones. And do one more time each side. Inhale up to center. Palms come together and bring it back to that lotus bud right in front of the heart. Taking a moment to touch into the possibility and intention that you brought to your mind and heart a few minutes ago. Let's take those movements and put them together in a flow. So from here, inhale, arms reach and rise. Right arm is going to come underneath in eagle arms. Exhale, eagle. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release, unwind. Inhale, lift right arm to the sky. Exhale into your side bend, reaching over toward your left, expanding right side body. Inhale up to center, and exhale into a twist to your right. Inhale up to center. Exhale, left arm comes underneath. Eagle arms. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, release and unwind. Inhale, left arm rises. Exhale, side bend, reaching left fingers over to the right. Inhale up to center. Exhale, twist left. We'll take one more time through that sequence. Inhale up to center. Exhale, hands back to the lotus bud. Okay, second round. Inhale, arms reach and rise. Exhale, right arm underneath. Eagle or hug. Lift up, inhale. And even if you're doing the hug, you can lift up and maybe arch back. Exhale, unwind. Inhale, right arm rises. Exhale, side bend to the left. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, lift up. Center, exhale, eagle arms, this time left arm underneath, or hug. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, unwind. Inhale, left arm rises up. Exhale, side bend, opening and expanding through the left side of your body. Exhale, release into twist left. Inhale, lift up center, palms come together, and exhale, bringing that lotus bud back to the heart. Turn the palms up on the lap and just notice what you've invited in. Notice if you can feel the tingling and the movement, the warmth, the heat, the pulsing of prana moving through you. Notice where you feel it. You might feel it sort of buzzing up and down the spinal column or in the arms and shoulders or chest. And take a moment to find your long, slow, deep ujjayi breaths, filling belly, ribs, and chest. And exhaling, chest, ribs, and belly. I'm going to invite you to bring the feet apart from one another, so you're coming into your goddess legs. So feeling that expansion and opening in the inner thighs, your toes are turned out 45 degrees, and you're centered on your sit bones toward the front of your chair, and activating the outside of your thighs to draw them back behind you, so you have your nice wide open hips. Open up, first find your goddess arms, elbows bent. Fingers to the sky, opening up through the chest as you draw the elbows back. Open hips, open heart. And then we'll take that sequence, goddess embracing the world and embracing us. Inhale, open up wide, really feel that expanding through the chest. Arms at shoulder height. Exhale, goddess embraces you, chin folds toward the chest. So the goddess is giving you a hug, but you're also rounding the upper back here. Inhale, opening up, heart as wide as the world. Cross the arms the other way, goddess embraces you. Inhale, opening up, embracing the world. Exhale, so you're alternating the way you cross your elbows. Chin to chest. Navel draws in. Inhale, opening up. Exhale, goddess embraces you. One more time, each side. Opening up, heart as wide as the world. Exhale, goddess embracing you. Big breath in, exhale through the nose. And then keeping your goddess legs, bring your hands once again into that lotus bud mudra. Seeing that possibility coming alive for you, and a little space between the hands. And we'll take in the goddess pose one time through that mudra and mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum. Open your lotus. Om Mani Padme Hum. See the shining jewel there. Elbows together, let them rise up. Om Mani Padme Hum. The 1,000-petal lotus over the crown of the head. Opening as wide as the world. Om Mani Padme Hum. Bow to your lotus bud. Om Mani Padme Hum. Blossom open. Om Mani Padme Hum. Elbows together, rise up. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. And once again, bow to your lotus. And then take the hands and press them on, place your hands onto your thighs. We're going to straighten the left elbow as you press into the inside of the left thigh. And let that left elbow drop down. Your right elbow is bent. You're pressing into both thighs, but you're taking a lengthening of the spine and a twist as you dip that left shoulder down. Look up over your right shoulder. See if you can dip down a little bit lower if it's available to you. So we're taking a lengthening and a twist of the spine. Press, twist. And back up to center, nice and slow. And then pressing into the right inner thigh. Let the right shoulder drop down. The left elbow stays bent. Right elbow is straight. And again, I'm mirroring you. Roll your left shoulder open and look up at the sky. So find length from tail to crown, and then dip down that right shoulder. And back up to center. And bounce the legs back to center. Just take a moment to find any wiggles and waggles of the shoulders and arms. Circle one way, circle the other way. Shake out the arms. And then I'm going to invite you, let's take some standing postures now. So come to stand by your chair. And last time, we practiced a different way of doing the downward dog, and I'm just going to remind you the two ways that you can come into your downward dog. You can either stand behind your chair and step back and come into downward dog here, bringing the torso and the arms parallel to the floor, reaching back. So that's one way of doing your downward dog. Navel lifts in and up. As a matter of fact, I think this is probably a good way for us to start, all starting with this expression of downward dog. Toes pointed straight ahead toward the chair, feet are parallel to one another, about hip width apart. Spread your sit bones wide like you're a peacock feather, fanning your feathers into a beautiful display. Navel draws in and up slightly, heart melts down low. You want to walk your feet back far enough so that you can really feel that delicious lengthening through the back body. And then bending the knees slightly, press into the back of the chair to come back standing behind your chair. Take a moment to shake out the arms. Now you can take downward dog that same way. Make sure you can all see me here. You can take downward dog that same way if you'd like, or you can take downward dog. This is a little closer to the way we do it when we're down on a mat, where we're coming into an inverted V. So the hands are going to press flat onto the seat of the chair, and your heart's going to soften down. Your upper arms are going to frame your ears. You can walk your feet back to a place where you can feel that lovely stretch in the backs of the legs. If you need to bend your legs a little, you can. Just keep pressing the low belly toward the thighs. Again, fan your peacock feathers wide. If you have issues where it's not a good idea to have your head lower than your heart, then it might be a better option for you to come into the first practice of downward dog. So only do this if this feels appropriate for you. See if you can find a diagonal line from your hips to your fingertips. So we don't want to have the shoulders coming forward, because if you can see me, that breaks up the line. You want to have a long spine, and you want to find that long diagonals where your ears are lining up with your shoulders or with your upper arms. One more breath here. And then walking back toward the chair, slowly, slowly coming up. Always take your time to come out of a pose. And then opening the heart. I'm going to invite you to come behind the chair and face away from the chair, bringing your hands to the back of the chair, to the top of the chair. And everybody's chairs are a little bit different, so some of you might have a higher back or lower back to your chair. But see if you can bring your hands to grasp the back of the chair so that your thumbs point toward your body and your fingers are pointing away from you. And try to walk your hands to get as close to one another as they can. Just walking your hands toward one another is going to give you a stretch, an external rotation. When you have your thumbs pointing toward you like that, you have that external rotation in the upper arms, and you're going to feel that spread through the chest. This might be enough for you. If you want to milk it a little bit, you can bring the hips forward, press into the hands into the back of the chair, and squeeze the shoulder blades toward one another. Lift the chin if it feels comfortable. Look up if you want. If that doesn't feel good on your neck, you can keep your chin level. The idea is you want to feel that expansion in the chest. It's kind of like doing the camel pose that we did last time. You can press the hip pointers forward. If it feels comfortable, you can even walk forward a little bit, and you'll get a little bit more juiciness in that upper back. Draw the wingtips of the shoulder blades toward the center, like they want to kiss one another. Big breath in, and then release. And then let's just let your hands, arms release, and hang down. And find any intuitive wiggles and waggles here that feel good. Then I'm going to invite you to come to the side of your chair. And we're going to put two postures that we've done before together. The Balancing Warrior One, which I believe we did last week, which is very similar to the Warrior One pose that we did the first couple of weeks, except instead of the foot being flat, to move my chair back so you can see me, instead of the foot being flat and turned at an angle, you're actually on the ball of your foot. All right, that's a little harder to balance, but it's a little easier to get the hips squared to the front. You're about a leg length apart. If you need to be with your feet closer together and in a shallower stance, you can do that. Just make sure your knee doesn't go in front of your ankle or behind your ankle. You want that front shin bone straight up and down. So you're going to hang on to the chair to start. You're going to have, if you're on your right side of your chair, you're going to have your left leg forward. And you're going to be on the ball of your back foot with your heel lifted, not turned out to the side, but lifted. So your toes are pointing straight ahead on the back foot and on the front foot. Headlights shining straight forward. So we're going to lift that right arm to the sky. I have to always think because I'm mirroring you. And root the tailbone straight down so the pubic bone comes forward, and that's what's going to give you that lovely stretch in the front of the hip flexor where a lot of us are tight, especially if you spend a lot of time sitting. Because if you spend a lot of time sitting, your foot, your hip is in flexion all the time. So this gives you that wonderful complementary stretch to that. Now, if it's available to you to lift both arms and come into your Balancing Warrior freestyle here, you can do that. Otherwise, just keep one arm lifted. You get a nice stretch through the side body there. And then opening your arms into wings, either lifting them or keeping one wing touching the chair. I'm going to invite you to come into your crane pose with the back leg lifted. So you can come up through mountain first and then lift, or if it's available to you to take it in one, springing off into flight, you can see if you can do that. You may need to step back a little bit. But your knee lifts to hip height, and if you can open your wings, and even just for half a breath, feel yourself with that wind beneath your wings. You can do that. You want to keep, I'm turning sideways so you can see the angle. The knee wants to stay in line with the hip. If you need to dip your toe in the water, you can do that so that you can steady yourself. So you can practice balancing without hanging on by doing it this way. Otherwise, hang on to the chair. Two options here. You can come down into your mountain, or you can try taking a leap of faith back right into that Warrior One again. Optional. And then coming back to standing. Just notice the difference between one side of your body and another. You might notice quite a lot of energy here and opening and prana and sensation in your right hip flexor and psoas area here. Come on to the other side of your chair, and you're going to have your right knee bent next to the chair. Your left leg steps back into your warrior one. Once again, you want to lengthen through the low back, so I'm just going to show you what that looks like. You don't want to have an arched back sticking your tailbone back. You want to tuck your tailbone under so you're nice and long through the low back here. Pubic bone comes forward, and maybe wiggling that back foot back. You'll be able to see me. The screen is not the best view here. Yeah, on the ball of your foot, steady, shining your headlight straight ahead. Now either hold on to the chair and just lift one arm, and that way you can even play with a little pulse here, dipping your hips down toward the earth, and that juices it up a little bit more. Oh yeah. Or you can play with both hands, lift it to the sky. How do you want to invite that energy of warrior in to your life today? Where is there a challenge that you need to meet head on with confidence and strength and commitment and fortitude? When you're ready to take it into your crane pose, open your wings, maybe bringing your hands right one wing onto the chair and springing off into flight. You can do it in slow motion. You can do it standing in mountain along the way, and play with your crane. Maybe dip the toe in the water if you need to. The standing leg wants to be unlocked, not bent, but just the knee soft enough so that it's not locked. Shoulders soft, wings soft. Let the muscles around the face soften here. In any balance pose, you want to fix your gaze into a spot on the floor where you can anchor your attention. And don't worry about if you need to place one wing on the chair. It's absolutely fine. And either coming back into mountain pose or seeing if you can play with stepping right back and landing gracefully on the ball of your foot back into your warrior one. That's a little more challenging there. But if you want to play with that, that's an option. And then stepping back to mountain pose. This is also known as samastiti, or equal balance pose. And being able to stand steady and comfortable, weight even on both feet, is actually a miraculous thing that our body can do. All of those neurons firing and little micro adjustments that are happening to keep you steady in the feet, the ankles, the legs, the core. So enjoy this, being able to take a stand. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more standing pose here. This is the triangle pose, and the benefit of the triangle pose is it's a wonderful side stretch, and it's also a hip opener, leg strengthener, core strengthener. You may decide that a block is going to be useful here. So I'm going to invite you to take your one block, and place it on a chair. If you don't have a block, you can use a couple of books. And I'm going to invite you to stand beside your chair on the right side of your chair and bring your feet to a wide stance, about a leg length apart. From here, you can hold on to the chair, so you can have one foot kind of under the chair if need be, so that you're close enough. And from here, I'm going to invite you to turn your left toes straight out to the left, so that your toes are pointing straight left. And then you're going to bring your right toes in a little bit past center, so they're slightly turned in. And you want to have your heel, I'm going to pull my lower part of my pants up so that you can see. The heel is lined up with the instep. Let me get this so you can see it better. The heel is lined up with the instep of the other foot, with the center of the arch. All right, if you need to be in a little shorter stance, that's fine too. So it looks like this. Your left foot turns straight out to the left. Your right toes are just a little bit turned in past center. Now your hip pointers are facing straight in front of you. So you don't want to have them turned right or left. So they're going in the same direction as the front of your chair. We're going to lengthen up through your spine, firm up the legs. We're going to start this pose actually from the ground. So I invite you to see if you can lift the arches of your feet as if you're drawing energy up from the earth. And lift that energy up through the legs so that the legs firm up, the kneecaps lift, the quadriceps lift, the muscles on the front of the thighs are going to activate. And you're going to draw that energy right up through your hips and belly, right up through your core. So you're going to feel that navel lifting in and up. All the legs are activated here. And then from here, I'm going to invite you to tilt the hips. You can start by bringing your hands on your hips and just tilt the hips so that the left hip drops and the right hip lifts. But keep the hips open. And here you can place your hand on the block or, if it's available, on the chair. You want to stay long in the spine. What you don't want to do is round the spine. You want to stay long. That's why you need to engage the core here. So it's an opening of the hip. You're going to roll that right hip open. The left hip is going to even draw forward a little bit. Your body is in one plane here. So like you're between two panes of glass. So notice if your torso is coming forward and see if you can keep it in line with your hips. And then the other arm lifts straight up to start. So one arm is straight down, one arm is straight up. So you got a long line right through the heart. Triangle pose. Lift up through that upper arm. Right arm lifts up. And you can also play with the side stretch here by reaching over long, taking extended triangle. So you're bringing the upper arm in line with the ears. Big breath. If you want to take this even deeper, you can reach that upper hand back behind you and bring the back of your right hand to your left hip, inviting the shoulder to roll open. If it feels comfortable, only if it's comfortable, look up at the sky. Otherwise, you can keep your gaze at the horizon. So this is your triangle pose. Reach up once again, and here's the fun part where you're really going to activate your core. Imagine a golden cord hanging down, and you're going to grab that cord and slowly rise up. If you need to use the chair to help you, you can do that. And float the hands down. And walk the feet together. All right, just take a moment to notice the difference between the right side of your body and the left side of your body. This is your Trikonasana in Sanskrit, or triangle pose. All right, so come to the other side. One foot goes under the chair. Your right foot is under the chair. Your left foot is about a leg length apart. And then we're going to turn the right toes to face straight to the right. Left toes a little bit past center. Check and see if your heel and your instep is lined up. Your hips are going to face right in front of you, going in line with the front of your chair. I mean, in that they're facing the same direction. Lift up the bottoms of the feet. You're drawing energy up from the earth. Let that lifting up, so not lifting up, you're not lifting your feet off of the mat, you're just engaging the muscles of the arch to create some lift. Lift up right through the legs to lift the kneecaps, lift and activate the quadriceps. Let that lift come up through your belly, all the way up through your belly center so you feel the navel lift in and up. And you can bring your hands to your hips, and see if you can just drop that right hip a little bit, lift the left hip. Even if you just go this far, and just place your hand down. You don't have to go down very far. You just want to keep long in the spine, like an arrow from your tail to your crown. Let the lower hand, the right hand, come onto the block or the chair, whatever's available. And if it's available, the other hand can lift high. You can also just keep your hand to your hip. Just don't want to fold forward here. You want to keep yourself sandwiched between two panes of glass. Feel how the belly muscles activate here, grow long from your lower hand to your upper hand, unless you're taking hand on the hip. Big breath in. Maybe you want to take it into an extended triangle here, growing long through the whole left side body. Maybe you want to take it into a bind, back of the left hand to the right hip, roll the shoulder open. If it's available, look up at the sky, or keep your gaze steady at the horizon. When you feel ready, release your hand, grab the golden cord, and slowly let it draw you up. You can use the chair if you need to come back to standing. And walk the feet together, shake out the arms and legs. All right, and come back to seated on your chair. How y'all doing? Did you survive that one? That was a challenging one, the triangle pose. Remember, not every pose that I offer is necessarily appropriate for everyone, so just really listen to your body. All right? And let the hands gently hold the sides of the chair. Your sit bones are at the very front edge. We'll take inhaling right thigh close to your belly without rounding your spine. Stay long in the spine. Exhale, lower it down. Other side, inhale, left leg lifts, draw it in. Exhale, lower it down. Syncing up breath and movement. In and out through the nose. Feel that ujjayi sound whispering in the back of the throat. Now let's take it into an extending, so we'll add another piece to this. So you're going to inhale, lifting one leg, exhale, press straight out, press out through the heel. See if you can bring that leg parallel to the floor, perpendicular to the body. Inhale, draw in, exhale, release. Notice if you're gripping and tensing up with your arms or your hands, and see if you can soften there. You're really only holding the chair just for steadiness and balance, not to grip. So inhale, lift, exhale, press out. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Let the breath move the body. See if you can lift the corners of the mouth as you do this, up toward the ears. One more round each side. I'm just going to check the time. All right. And when you feel complete on both sides, both feet come down. And let's find your strap, and we'll do that lovely hamstring stretch. So bring the strap to the sole of one foot. You can start on your right if you want to be mirroring me. And press out, remembering that you don't want the shoulders to go rounded forward or the upper back to round. You want to keep that elegant, long, and lifted spine with shoulders over hips. So you might need to walk your fingers a little bit more closer to your feet. If you're leaning back and going like this, or you might need to slide them back. So if you're trying to reach, but it's making your shoulders draw forward, then you might want to lengthen a little bit. If your strap is too long and you're leaning back, or you're pulling in, then you may want to walk your hands a little closer. You want to try to get that leg straight out. And one of the things you can do, if you feel centered and balanced on your sit bones is instead of holding the strap with both hands, just hold the strap with one hand, so you're same side, and the other hand comes down by your side just to steady you, and see if you can open wide, getting a nice inner thigh stretch, pressing out through the heel. How does that feel? If you need to keep a little bend in your knees, that's fine, in your knee. Foot flexed, the strap is right in the instep of the foot. You can bring it back to center and slowly release. When you're ready, try it on the other side. Staying centered on your sit bones, reaching straight out with the foot in line with the hip. If you need to have if your leg doesn't want to lift all the way and you need to have your foot closer, more at a diagonal, that's okay. See if you can level your shoulders with one another. Notice if one shoulder is coming forward, if you're holding with one hand. Foot flexed, point your toes back toward you, press your heel out away from you. And staying, this is a great core practice because in order to stay long without going into slouchasana, you need to activate those abdominal muscles. And if it's comfortable, you can go out to the side. See how far out to the side you can press that left leg. And coming back to center when you're ready. Slowly bend the knee, release the strap. Notice how you feel. I'm going to take it into that one I like to do every class, the seated pigeon pose. And I'll show you a variation that some of you might want to explore. Not everyone. You can listen to what your body says. So we're going to hug that thigh in, one thigh in toward the ribs, and then turn that knee out to the side, place above your ankle onto your thigh. If you need to slide the bottom foot out a little bit, you can. Otherwise, keep your knee in line with your ankle. Now you can either stay right here and just enjoy the sensations or juice it up a little by pressing your palm into the inner knee. You can also come into that forward fold, forearm on thighs, and or on your figure four legs. And if it helps to have a blanket in between for padding, you can do that. You can also come into full forward fold, letting the head hang down, if that feels good. And if that isn't juicy enough for you, and you want to take it into something a little bit more alive, you can come back to being centered on your sit bones and see if you can lift that lower leg up toward your chest as if you're cradling a baby, which could be interlacing your fingers and having your foot and knee in the crook of your elbows, or just bringing one palm to the ankle, one palm to the knee, and drawing your lower leg in, and the foot comes toward the opposite shoulder, like the head of the baby you want close to your shoulder. That is a very juicy way to do this, and not for everybody, but if it calls to you and you want that, that's another option. Breathe into any areas where there's tightness or strong sensation without forcing anything. Just massage it with the breath. Let any tension release with the exhale. And then rising back up into a seated position, we'll hug that knee in toward the heart, wrap your opposite arm around the folded leg and take it into a seated twist. Wherever you can anchor yourself on the chair, back of the chair, bottom of the chair, to come into a twist where we'll hold for a few breaths. And when you hold this twist, the practice here is to back out of the twist just ever so slightly on the inhale and focus on the lift from root to crown. And on the exhale is where you lead with your heart into the twist. Looking over your shoulder behind you. So take a few breaths, lifting on the inhale and lengthening, and exhale, deepening. And releasing when you're ready, slowly unwinding your legs. We'll take that sequence on the other side. Hugging your opposite side in, your thigh in toward your ribs, and then turn the knee out into your figure four, seated pigeon. Let's take a moment to notice how it feels when you first come into the pose, and after breathing with it and sending your breath there and doing that breath massage, if it starts to shift and change. If it feels good to come down onto forearms, you can do that, or folding all the way over. You might need to take a block underneath your shoulders to support yourself as you do that folding over, especially if you need to protect your low back here. You can let the head just hang down. And if it served you to take that cradle the baby on the other side, if it was available to you, see how it feels here. Even if you only lift your lower leg off of your other leg just a few inches, see how that feels. Or not. Hugging your baby in toward your heart if you're taking that practice. Otherwise, just staying with the sensations of the seated pigeon. One more long, slow, deep breath. Then we'll take it into twist. Hugging thigh in, wrapping opposite arm around. Length on the inhale. A little more twist on the exhale. Never forcing, just exploring. That's really what this is. It's a practice of inquiry as to what's alive in you in this moment, and in the next moment, and in the next moment. You may notice that that edge shifts and changes. So the body you had 30 seconds ago is not the same body that you have in this moment. It's a constantly changing and shifting collection of dynamic energy. Molecules dancing, blood moving, breath moving in and out, emotions and thoughts arising and falling. It isn't anything solid. It's continually in flux. Whatever we call I is actually not a solid entity. When you're ready to release, unwind, and bring both feet hip width apart. Turn the palms up. Let the backs of the hands rest on the lap. Let the shoulders stack beautifully over the hips, long spine, open heart. Let the eyes close for a moment. Just notice the quality of your breath without trying to control it. Just let it find its natural rhythm. See if there's a place in the body where you can soften, perhaps around the eyes or the jaw or the shoulders. Space in between the palms of the hands. Once again, envisioning that possibility. And then letting that lotus bud open into the full lotus flower. Visualizing that magnificent jewel right in the center. That is the jewel of your own true nature. Spiritual heart, the Atman or the soul. And then letting that lotus rise up out of the muck of our forgetting who we are. Bringing the elbows together, let it rise up to the crown of the head. And that 1,000-petaled lotus that hovers over the crown of the head, reminding of us of our own potential for transcendence. Awakening, open it as wide as the world in all directions. And let the hands come together once again into that lotus bud and bow, honoring that potential within yourself. So to close our practice, we'll go through that pattern a few times with the chant. Bowing to that lotus. Om Mani Padme Hum. Open. Om Mani Padme Hum. Rise up. Om Mani Padme Hum. Open wide. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Behold the jewel in the lotus. Once again, let that lotus bud return to the heart. And we'll close our practice with the sound of Om. Om. Namaste, everyone, and thank you for sharing practice with me these past 5 weeks. It has been such a joy for me.